Good afternoon, everybody. Happy Monday. It is 2:42, and we have a full pack video today to go over quite a bit of economic data and some overall market moving news. I'm going to jump right into it. First and foremost, that set the market ablaze was Trump's announcement to request a sort of a reprieve on interest rates, capping them at 10% for credit cards. So that had a trickle effect in multiple aspects, from Visa, Capital One, MasterCard. All the financial stocks took a bit of a hit this morning. As you can anticipate, that's how they make their money. You could see these candles down here. I think it was JP Morgan. Just kind of going through this real quick. Everybody's down. So all the financial stocks, they took a hit today on the 10% cap. You could actually see the headline here. I welcome it. Why not? I think it's a good thing. It's a way to effectively improve in the moment, in the now, so to say, for elevated interest rates. Consumer debt is at the highest it's ever been, but that's really not much of a talking point. It's always the highest it's ever been. It only continues to go up. So I don't read too much into that. I think it's a positive thing. We'll see how that helps. Let's start, as we always do, looking at the Nasdaq, the QQQs, or we'll start with the Nasdaq, the actual Nasdaq itself. So what we're trying to avoid is a head and shoulders pattern on this chart. That is the most important thing. And in order to avoid that head and shoulders, we want to see us make an all-time high. Granted, everybody wants to see us make an all-time high. The NASDAQ is the laggard, which is usually not the case. The NASDAQ is usually the main driver in the market. Right now, it's the Russell and the S&P. So what we really are looking at, we took out this high and this high, which is really, really good. This is the next stop. So over that is completely all systems go. I'm on green. I've been on green since I mentioned it when we broke above the moving averages, which I think was the beginning of last week. But pay attention. We want to get above this high. You get above this high, it really, truly is all systems go, in my opinion. However, I am on green now. So keep an eye on that. Looking at Bitcoin from let's take a look at it here from a perspective. I think it did carve out the low. I am starting to really like this. I mentioned I made a nice purchase, not this past weekend. The weekend before was either Friday or Saturday. And it is starting to really move on that. These moving averages are converging. And I'd love to see us take out this top, which would be 95, which was that high. Interested to see if we could break through that. I do think overall market sentiment, if we continue to get some of the news that we like, we should see that high breakthrough. So just kind of going through that, there's been a lot of talk about the Fed chair. There was charges brought up to Jerome Powell. I'm going to spare everybody the details of going into the reasons why. There's going to be a new Fed chair, whether it's Hassett or whoever it is. So interest rates should come down. The interesting news is the 10-year bond is still up. And Trump I think it was Fannie and Freddie to buy bonds last week, which in theory should help interest rates come down. It hasn't happened yet. I mean, the 10-year is still elevated. Mortgage rates they did temporarily at the end of last week. I think they came below 6% for the first time in like 2 years. We'll see how that works. To see a nice trajectory move to the downwards on mortgage rates, we want to see this 10-year get below 4%. We'll see if that happens. Anyways, keeping an eye on that. So another, I always talk about how I like to trade and invest in stocks as themes. There's always a theme in the market. And right now the theme is commodities, uranium, copper, aluminum, gold, silver. I mean, this is all the rage right now, right? So you got to park some money. You have to have some exposure there. Gold, as I've mentioned, and I mentioned to you guys, look at the bar today up. Look at this on gold, breaking out again to an all-time high. Gold straight to 5,000 an ounce. You can quote me on that. I've been saying that since, not trying to toot my horn or nothing, but it's back here. So anyways, gold going higher. Silver today is up as well. Again, I mean, geez, look at this. I mean, look at that. I mean, wow. So, anyways, uranium is one that I'm keeping an eye on. I'm going to give you a play right out the gate. I traded this going back in the day, so I think this is actionable. Pulled back on Friday. I think it's giving you an opportunity to get back in right above the 5-day moving average. So uranium, or I should say CCJ, I think it's a little bit. I mean, it's up 2.3. Actually, I take it back. I think this is actionable right now. This is not financial advice, but rather for educational purposes only. So, anyways, this is a uranium play. If you guys feel the need, I'm starting off this video this week with stocks that are new action items for the week. This is one of them. Another one, more so for my long-term investment buddies. Ferrari. I mean, I never thought I'd talk about this name, but I don't have the long-term moving averages pulled up, but just so you know, Ferrari is right at the 200-day moving average on the longer chart. It's not, you don't see it here. I actually bought this morning on my IRA. I moved this around, so I bought this. I think this is going to be just like how I bought Novo Nordisk. I'm looking for some serious recovery in some names. I think this is going to be a good one. So here's one on a long-term chart. This looks really favorable, so I did buy this today. CCJ I have not bought yet. Novo Nordisk still actionable. I love when stocks move up right after I buy them. It's 5 days up since I bought it. I still think this is actionable for you guys over the 200-day. You're going to see that 50 is going to curl through that 200. That's pretty bullish. If you're looking for a trade, that might suit the bill. If you're looking for an investment, that might suit the bill. I think Novo Nordisk is giving you a great opportunity here to get in. The GLP-1 drugs are all the rage, and now with their oral, I think that's going to really help. So that's one there. RCAT still in this name, small name, half position, still doing its thing. Had a really good day last week. Well, it had 2 great days, and I'm still riding this trend. I think it's going to give you an opportunity to pull back to that 5. You might want to take that if you're interested in that. So also going into the news of oil, obviously the Maduro thing that happened, and then Trump said that he was going to shut down Venezuela from selling to Cuba. Essentially, Cuba supplies security for Venezuela. In return, they get oil from them, or at least that's what Trump says. I don't know that to be a fact or not. Anyways, Trump said he's not going to allow Venezuela to supply, but he did give Mexico is going to supply oil to Cuba, and America is going to allow that temporarily. We'll see how that works. Regardless, the oil names continue to go up based on demand. So that's moving along there. Keeping that in mind. So some of those oil stocks should be benefactors. Also, UUU, I bought this last week. Another name that another uranium name that just I think is going to break out. I think these themes of copper, aluminum, uranium, I think they're going to do really good for the first half of the year. So that's one you want to take a look at. Moving along, starting with the good. Taiwan Semiconductor still, I mentioned when I got in this is still looking really good. You could see here a report the Trump administration is nearing a deal with Taiwan. This is big. I mean, up another 2.5%. I think Taiwan's going to break out. Quote me on this. I think it's good for 350 and 350 very soon. So that is still actionable. Reddit. Oh, sorry about that. Reddit still looking good. If you're interested in that, I'm still in that stock. So, I still think that's a good looking chart. IMNM, there's a lot of talk. Another theme is the biohealthcare theme. That's a big, big talk right now. I talked about this. It broke above Friday, and I really thought this was going to get going, and then it just came back, which I hate the failed breakout. Even though I don't call that a failed breakout, it got denied at that moving average. So still own it, still actionable here nor there. Open, still in this. I think, so obviously Trump, you see the $200 million mortgage bond. That's what really helped open race on Friday when Trump announced that. I didn't make a video last week on Friday after that. So it helped open really have this huge move based on that Trump news. Also, I think a benefactor of the fact that Trump is putting in motion that Blackstone and these large institutions they're capped at how many homes and how they invest in certain neighborhoods and gentrification and talk amongst that. A lot of talk of Trump today, obviously he has been moving the news quite a bit. And then I think that's going to be a benefactor for this stock. So again, if I wasn't bullish enough, I'm more bullish. So still an open. And remember, we do get the news from the Supreme Court this week on Wednesday regarding the tariff, whether that's peeled back or that's able to continue going. I think that's a win-win for the market overall. I don't see any negativity, even if the Supreme Court rules against the tariffs. I don't see that as moving too much. So what else we got on the upside here? So we talked Bitcoin, AMD, we talked that, blah, blah, blah. Palantir, again, I don't like to get too caught up in these AI names right now because they're just not in favor. This is kind of like at that point where I really needed to do something. Still holding PLTW. So let's go through the bad here because the bad. So all right. American Eagle this morning with Abercrombie and some other retail names, they came out with basically talked about holiday results and guidance. You can see the headline here. So I think this was a huge overreaction in American Eagle, and it sold off this morning 10%. However, to the contrary, all the news that was reported on them was that they had a really good fourth quarter, holiday season. So all of a sudden they said they didn't hit their metrics. And then on top of that, they announced some tariff related pressure. Anyways, I thought it was overdone. And you could see it's a green candle now. It was down 10%. It's only down now. It's down 3.5%, almost 4%. So I did buy shares when it was down like 7 or 8%. I ended up adding to my position. I think that's a nothing burger. Personally, I wanted to extend my position and I was looking for an opportunity. I've been up on this. So I added to it. So I think American Eagle, because of the way they operate a little bit more lean, I think they're going to be in a position to succeed in this climate. Now, the same cannot be said for Abercrombie. I was very fortunate. I cut my position in half on Friday for no good reason. I was just very lucky, to be honest with you. I was trying to lighten certain things. I was up on this. I got stopped out on the rest, obviously, this morning. Got huge haircut. Fortunately, I made out in the green, but just barely. This could have got really ugly. For some of you that own this stock, if you didn't have a stop, you got to set your stop losses. They didn't fare the same as American Eagle. They really took it bad, and I think it's going to take some time. However, if you are a quick trader and you're looking for a scalp, I can't help but notice it basically found support at the 50 on the slide. I almost wanted to buy this back today. For you guys that like to catch falling knives, I mean, the 50s 98 could be a quick trade, kind of like what I did last week with Seagate, which fortunately I held it. I mentioned this last week. If you guys recall, I don't remember which video that was. I remember it was Thursday or Monday. Was it Monday? I think it was Monday video. I talked about how I wanted to buy it Monday. Tuesday it slid. I said Wednesday. Was it Wednesday? It slid. I ended up buying it one day last week and it worked out. I'm up now on it like 8 to 10%. I think you might have an opportunity. Obviously, Abercrombie, not the same type of stock as Seagate. But speaking of that, I'm still in Seagate at the moment. And that's working out. I think this is actually going to break the trend line and go. So that's it. That's it for the up and the downside. That was Abercrombie was my loser. The rest, it seemed to be panning out for the most part. There is going to be a lot of news. We're going to have a Fed decision coming up. We have the Supreme Court decision on Wednesday, like I just mentioned. There's constant talk from tariff, from other things from BlackRock, from a lot of institutions. So we're going to have news. We're going to have a lot of news coming out. We're going to see how this is going to pan out with the oil names, with Venezuela, which we're keeping a close eye on. So I would say keep your eye on this. One of the things I always advise, HYG, I mentioned this in my last video. I always like to look at this to see under the hood. Credit debt, corporate debt is very important. If corporate debt is moving up, you want to see that. That should still have you bullish. If you see a downward slide in that, take heed. Also, the RSP, which is your equal weight, you want to see everybody participating. Today, down. However, you see this today down, right? But the S&P today up. I'm sorry, here, up. The reason is everybody's not participating. That means it's top heavy. So you want to keep an eye. A healthy participation signals a very healthy bull market. So we need participation across the board. That's all I got for today. Hopefully you guys are doing good. It's been a great start to the year. Keep your eye on the prize. Personally, I don't try to predict things, but if I'm going to give a prediction, I'm going to say that I'm green right now. I think the market is continuing to trend up. I think we're going to have a fruitful first quarter. The majority of names continue to propel higher, and I think as multiples continue to expand, that's just going to be a favorable condition. I'll have another video on Thursday. The Hurricanes play the Hoosiers next Monday in the national title. Go Canes. And if you guys are fans of other teams, your team sucks.